Good morning and welcome back to the YouTube channel of Old Bloke Crypto on March the 14th, 2024. And as you can see from the splash screen, some interesting things going on in the market at the moment in the last 24 hours, and we need to work out what's happening and how we trade it up, down, sideways, etc. We're going to get into it in just a moment. And a reminder that none of the videos I make are financial advice. They're how I trade and what I do. What you do is up to you. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons and the notification bell to be notified of future videos. Now, yesterday's video was all about the Dead Coon upgrade on Ethereum, that major upgrade that's been coming for some time and they've been working on for many months now. It went live without a hitch, which was great. And you'll see this is the page I was referring to yesterday. So it's all done and no surprises, which is great. You'd expect, okay, that's going to improve the price or send the price continuing, trending to the upside. Well, that didn't really happen. Why is that? You often hear the term, oh, it's priced in, etc. Well, that's a bit of an overused term. So I don't think it was priced in that sense. Certainly, if there was a major hiccup and it did what Solana did, has done many times and gone down, you could imagine what would have happened to the Ethereum price. But really, it was as expected, given their previous upgrades have all largely gone off without a hitch because they've been tested well beforehand. So no great surprise there and no push to the upside as a result in the short term anyway. Let's have a look here now at CryptoCraft's page, which I often refer to, which is upcoming events. Now, earlier in the week, we've had the CPI, which was a bit higher than expected, not much, and the traditional markets barely even blinked at it, and certainly the crypto was not affected. Now, tonight is the PPI, which is another very important data indicator. And it says here, a leading indicator of consumer inflation. When producers charge more for goods and services, the higher costs are usually passed on to the consumer. And American inflation is continuing to basically flatline at the moment. And you'll see that the expectation, the forecast is for a rise of 0.3%. The previous was 0.3%. Is that going to happen? We'll find out. Now, if this is an outlier, and for example, this forecast says 0.3 and it was 0.5 or 0.1, either side there's a big deviation. Either side you can expect some sort of reaction from TradFi and also from crypto, but less so in a bull market. It's a lot more affected in a bear market. So it's something that I'll be keeping an eye out tonight, because if that happens tonight where we get, it was say, for example, it's 0.1 or it's something that's way to the downside, expecting a blip to the upside. But if it comes in a lot higher than 0.3, expecting a move down from perhaps TradFi, but certainly crypto, not too much, but perhaps a week where I can add to my long position. Now, let's get back to what I was rabbiting on about in the screen grab earlier about a range forming within a trend. How does that work? Well, I'll just show you here on this extract from the live charts, and you'll see I've marked it out here. And if you sit back and have a look at it, this is the 4 hour. Now, you can see here clearly there is a range that has been forming in the last 10 days. Very interesting. You see range lows marked out here. We've got these candles here, the top of these candles, and wicking down into it and through it, and then bouncing off it. We've got the mid-range sitting here. You can see also that price action that's bouncing around that mid-range, penetrating through it, sitting above it at the moment, despite having wicked it down. Okay, so you can see here, if you sit back and have a look at it, we have a range, and certainly it's capped at the upside at the moment at 40.95. Now, is it going to give us some tradable element where we can expecting it to continue on in this range? Perhaps we do, but let's have a look at the higher time frame. And this is why I was saying a range within a trend. And you'll see here in the higher time frame, I've just left these lines on the chart, and for clarity's sake, you'll see here, obviously we're trending. This is on the daily. You see the spread between the EMAs are all spreading up to the upside. And of course, we're in a higher time frame trend. But you can see here, these are the range marks I've got there. So are we going to continue in this sideways movement for any length of time, or are we just going to blow straight through and continue on in the high time frame trend? And of course, that's a $64 million question. Now, I haven't closed out this current trade. I've had it open for 3 days, which is quite a lot in a bull market. But in the bear phase, which is not so long ago, there was times of 6 weeks I could have a trade open for 6 weeks because our price was moving like a glacier and the funding rates were nowhere near what they are now. So it was viable to do so. You wouldn't want to do that now. Keep a trade open for 6 weeks. I could just imagine the cost from any of the perpetual exchanges would be just outrageous. It's bad enough as it is now, just for a couple of days. So anyway, what are we going to do with this, given that we're in a range within a trend? Well, the trend is to the upside, and the trend is your friend until the end of the trend. You may have heard that said. So what do we do with this? Well, I can tell you one thing going along with that statement about the trend is there's no shorts at the moment. I'm not taking a short, no way in the world. What I'm looking for is opportunities to add to my long. I got to do that last night, and this little bit of a dip in the middle of the night. I just happened to be eyeballing it, as you do in the middle of the night, saw it come down, grabbed another addition to my position at 39.50. Thank you very much. And then it's bounced on to the upside. Now, is it likely to revisit this range low of 3,800? Unlikely without an outlier on that PPI, like I was saying to you before. If this comes in at like 0.5 or 0.7, something outrageous, yep, we're going to get a dip down to the range lows, in my opinion, or towards the range lows, another opportunity to add to our long trade. Okay, but when are we going to break out of this range high of 40.95 currently? And you can see all these wicks coming into it. And the thing is, when you keep getting these wicks, like knocking on the door, when you keep getting these wicks, especially in a trend, you've got an overall trend and you're getting these wicks knocking on the door, it's indicative that continuation to the upside is coming. So we've still got a couple of US trading sessions to go for the week. We finished for today. We're still an hour away from the Asian session opening. I'm just going to show you the liquidity charts, which are always important. Of course, of what the market maker is up to and his shenanigans and where he's going. Well, this is the 3-day. And look at, again, I was referring to this yesterday, heaps of liquidity building, hundreds of millions, in fact, over the $1 billion just on Binance alone, just building to the upside. And so if you're patient, price is going to gravitate towards that. Maybe today, it could well do. With PPI coming in 13, 14 hours, the market may just stagnate until that time. And if it's a great number, then that may be the catalyst for it to move towards the upside. But we're in a trend anyway. And so expecting this is going to continue, we're going to grab this liquidity. And I've just been watching it and it's continuing to build. And as I said, this is the 3-day chart. So patience at the moment. Now let's have a look though at the 12-hour chart and see what's going on and see what the impatient people have been doing. And look at this. We've got some chunks of liquidity down here around the low 3900s that is building up. The people, the late longers that are coming in and adding to their positions. And we've also got here in the low 4,000, similar chunks of liquidity building up. So again, this price, and it could bounce around here in a range. I know that's what I've been talking about. It could range, grab that, or grab that and come back up to the upside. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's around that low 3900s. It's bottoming out at the peak of that liquidity. And if you remember from this extract from the chart, that low, that bottom of that yellow liquidity bands was the low 3900s, and look at that mid-range. So again, we could wick to that or wick through it just like here and then bounce back up to the upside. So if we do see a liquidity grab down here, sure, you can add to your position. I've already added to mine, so I don't need to make any further additions down there. I'm just sitting pat, but you may, if you don't have enough of a position in your opinion, and of course you do you, as I say, you trade according to your parameters and your leverage, etc. It's your responsibility. Then if you want to add to it, by all means go ahead, because in my opinion, once this is taken or the market maker is finished with the liquidity down here, we're going to get reversal back up to the upside. And what are we sitting on now? About 4,000. So I'm expecting that certainly in the next 24 hours for a move to the upside. Worst case scenario, by the end of the trading week, by the end of the US session on Friday, I'm expecting a move, continuation of the high time frame range to the upside. Now, of course, I update Twitter more than YouTube, so I'll be posting some more updates here in the next 24 hours, no doubt. So keep an eye on our Twitter page. But as I said, expecting upside continuation, preparing for some wicks to the downside to the middle of that range, which I will then personally not trade, but you may want to add to your positions if we get down to this mid-range, and then waiting for continuation higher to the stop that I have in place at the moment, which is currently sitting at 41.78. Now, as I said yesterday, that could change because these liquidity bands are moving around. So I'm just watching this, and I may bring it slightly down. Depends on how much it thickens. I may take it up, but I'm watching that. And previously, before that 41.78, I had it down here around the 41.50. It may come back down to that because you see there's 106 million sitting right there, and plenty of liquidity there. So again, you make your decision. I'm watching the liquidity bands, but I'm expecting, as I said, be able to close out this trade in the next 24 to 48 hours. This is Old Bloke Crypto. Trade safe, trade within your means, and I'll talk to you again soon.